Let me now get you more details of this terror attack in Sri Lanka. Initial probe into this deadly serial suicide bombing, one of the worst in the world after 9/11. What we're now being told is that this could well have been a retaliation for the mosque attack in New Zealand, the Christchurch terror attack. This is the Islamic State that's put out images of the terrorists. They've put out 3 images so far. The Islamic State name of these terrorists: Abu Ubaida, Abu Mukhtar, Abu Khalil, Abu Hamza, Abu al-Bana, Abu Muhammad and Abu Abdullah. Now, Sri Lanka's Minister of State for Defence, Ruwan Vijayawardene, he said in an address to the parliament that prima facie, the initial findings, and these are very preliminary findings, they seem to indicate that the suicide bombing and all 7 were suicide attacks, were a revenge strike for the deadly shooting in the 2 mosques at Christchurch. We'll show you images of the Christchurch terror attack and the retaliatory terror strike. This is what investigators are telling India Today. Tawheed Jamaat is one of the terrorist organizations operating in Sri Lanka that's suspected to be involved in this terror strike. At the Christchurch terror attack in New Zealand, 50 people had lost their lives. That was a shooting in 2 mosques, and in retaliation, according to the Sri Lankan State Minister for Defence, 3 churches were targeted, hotels were targeted. The attempt was also made to target the airport, the Bandaranaike International Airport, where a 6-feet-long pipe bomb, an improvised explosive device, was recovered and diffused. 87 detonators were also found. Let's listen in to the Sri Lankan Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe.
There has also been a communique issued, a story coming in from Cairo, that the ISIS has claimed responsibility. All that we knew earlier was that there were foreign links and that this could not have been done just locally. There has been training given and a coordination which we are not seeing earlier.
India Today's Geeta Mohan now joins me for the latest on this story. She joins us live from Colombo. Geeta, what more can you tell us about investigations? We now know 40 people have been taken into custody. What more do we know of the 40 who've been detained for questioning? 40 people have been taken into custody. What more do we know of the 40 who've been detained for questioning?
Well, they have been detained for questioning with the links that they've had, not just with these Islamic groups that they are part of, but also now with details emerging of Islamic State having taken responsibility or claimed responsibility for the same. Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe, just a while ago addressed the media over here, to the foreign journalists over here, and to a question that I asked with regards to prior intelligence from India with regards to jihadi threats. He did confirm that there was specific intelligence that India had shared with Sri Lanka, but there are a lot of questions that are being raised with regards to how the government really reacted to that intelligence. And even as that is happening, the country now is grappling with these people who've been suspects who've been taken and now are being questioned. There are 2 areas that are being explored. One is the fact that they're locals from the local Muslim radical groups, but they do have connections with the Islamic State. So how far and wide does it spread is something that they're exploring. More importantly, the Prime Minister confirmed that there are foreign links to these attacks, and what those foreign links are and how they're connected to the Islamic State is something that they're exploring. India has been raising the concerns of growing Islamic terror in Sri Lanka
just a moment.
Well.
Geeta, stay with me for a moment. That's a very important point that Geeta Mohan makes. India had given specific intelligence inputs to Sri Lanka, and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe, said that in response to a question posed by Geeta Mohan of India Today. So on the 11th of April is what sources tell India Today, the police commissioner of Colombo had put out intelligence inputs that church or churches across Sri Lanka could be targeted around Easter. The name of Tawheed Jamaat had been taken. That Tawheed Jamaat is that terrorist organization or that radical Islamic organization that could be involved in this. India gave, Geeta, if I know correctly, even names of suspected terrorists. But before I come to that, let's listen in to Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka.
Just wanted to know whether if there was prior intelligence shared with the Sri Lankan government from Indian authorities with regards to jihadi terrorism.
There has always been sharing of intelligence between our two countries in regard to terrorism.
Was there specific intelligence on this?
There was specific intelligence on this.
Geeta, the intelligence that Indian agencies had provided was very specific. It named Tawheed Jamaat. If sources are to be believed, it also gave addresses of where these suspected terrorists could be and where the mastermind could be. Addresses of where these suspected terrorists could be and where the mastermind could be.
Well, India has been very keenly observing developments in Sri Lanka. The eastern part is where there are worries of growing radical Islamic behavior. And yes, there are certain intelligence inputs that were shared by the Indian authorities with Sri Lankan authorities. But the sad fact over here in Colombo, Gaurav, is that while the country is grappling with this entire security threat, they're also grappling with a huge political crisis over here with the fight that you see, or even the blame game that has started between the president and the prime minister. The prime minister today saying that the president does not involve him in the National Security Council decisions and meetings, and that's the reason why the entire problem of this increasing jihadi terrorism is lost in what the two leaders of this country should be doing, that is managing and trying to form a policy against jihadi terrorism. Instead, what we are seeing is blame game that continues here in Colombo.
Stay with me, Geeta Mohan. The Sri Lankan government, we are told, suspects a terrorist, a radical Islamic organization called Tawheed Jamaat. What is Tawheed Jamaat? Let me tell you something more about it. We've been attempting to piece together information. This is a little known organization. It is a hardline Wahhabi Islam preaching organization. So it wants Sharia to be imposed in Sri Lanka. The Tawheed Jamaat wants women in Parda across Sri Lanka. It's been linked both to Al-Qaeda and Lashkar-e-Taiba in the past. In 2018, one of the suspected bombers, Zahran Hashim. This is the information that we have. Zahran Hashim, he had visited Pakistan. This is preliminary information. Remember, you heard Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who said most of these terrorists had traveled abroad. He did not specify how many had traveled to Pakistan, to the Middle East, and some to Iraq and Syria. So Hashim had met ISI officials in Pakistan, according to intelligence inputs that are coming in. Tawheed operative Mohammad Safran has also been on the radar of the intelligence agencies, and Safran was linked to the Tamil Nadu Tawheed Jamaat unit. This is information that is still being verified. Now Tawheed Jamaat seeks the establishment of Islamic State across Sri Lanka.